world is not very comfortable with women in positions of authority.
Right.
You know, so that, and if you're a girl who's that tiny and who's that weird looking, the world is so uncomfortable with you. If you don't have all kinds of kids studying in the same classroom, you will never have an inclusive society. If you don't believe in your child, the world will not.
Right.
The world picks up your child's abilities or disabilities from you. So if you're saying my child, oh my God, my poor child, the world will also see your child as a poor child.
Hello and welcome to HerZindagi's podcast series, Shakti Rupena Sansthitam. Here, we shine a spotlight on women who are an embodiment of strength. Today, we're here with Ira Singhal. She was the first ever differently abled person to have topped the IAS exam. Welcome to our show, Ira. I'm so glad you've joined us.
Thank you.
Tell me, first of all, what made you consider the UPSC exams?
So I was working in the corporate sector, and to be honest, civil services is not something that comes to me naturally because nobody in my family is in government, and by government I mean any kind of government, and not even my own family, extended family as well. But when I was a kid, I had friends whose parents were in civil services, and I lived in Meerut in UP, and that's where you kind of understand about civil services and government and all. And so when I was working in the corporate sector, I realized that I was working extremely hard. I was working 20-hour days, and I really kid you not, it was 20-hour days. And I started feeling that there is nobody on earth who thinks that because I work so hard, their life is better. Their future is brighter, their kids have a better future, their whole family environment has improved. And I wanted my work to have had that kind of an impact. I wanted that someone in the world should feel that because I was working so hard, their lives are better, something has been done for them, for their future. And that's when I decided to quit my cushy and really great corporate job and get into civil services.
How old were you tentatively at that time?
I was 26 or 27, roughly. 26, I think.
And you decided to prepare for this extremely hard examination.
Yes.
It's known as one of the world's toughest ever.
Yeah.
And very few people really managed to crack it. So how did that go? Like, what happened in your first attempt?
So I didn't get in my first attempt. I didn't get the rank that I wanted, or this, and I didn't qualify for the service that I wanted. So which was the IAS where I am now, or the IFS. And what happened was that I started preparing again. But I got phone calls while I was preparing for my second attempt about from other candidates who said, do you know what happened to you? And I didn't know something had happened to me. So then, because if somebody calls you and says, do you know what happened to you? You kind of then start wondering, what happened to me?
What even?
Yeah, right. So then I start figuring out, and I realized that I had been rejected by all the services that I was eligible for, which was except for the top 2-3.
So just to clarify, you had cleared the UPSC examination.
Yes.
However, you hadn't cleared the rank needed for IAS. But
Yes.
there was many services that
Yes.
you were eligible for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was rejected by almost all of them basis my disability. Because they said we cannot take a person with this kind of disability. Even though, and here's something that is a little technical, but for civil services, for people with disabilities, there are two lists that you have to fit into for each of the jobs. One is the list of what is your disability, and the other is what is your ability.
Right.
And to be honest, there is no match between the two. So I fit in the list of what are the abilities required for almost all the jobs, but I didn't fit into the list of disabilities that they were willing to accept for anyone except the IAS.
Okay. What do you have? What is?
So I have something called kyphoscoliosis, but in civil services, it's not mentioned. The list is not based on that kind of a thing. It is more of limb-based disability.
Okay.
So in my case, I have both my upper limbs affected because of scoliosis, which affects my performance of the upper limbs.
Right.
So I fell into that category, and in that sense, and that was being accepted only by the IAS and nobody else.
Even though you could do everything, say an
that they
IRS
needed.
job needed.
Yeah. So I was my third rank preference was IRS, and I was eligible for that. but they were rejecting me basis my disability, saying that, we just don't like this disability. And yeah, so that's what happened in my first attempt. So I was selected by UPSC, but I was rejected by the cadre controlling authorities, and in a sense by DOPT. Not really DOPT itself, because all these services have to reject you individually. And yeah, that's what happened.
But you decided to take this to the courts, right?
Yes.
What happened and what made you do that?
So the thing was that I had come here to make a difference, right? And I don't choose how I make a difference. If I wanted to do that, I wouldn't have come here. The whole point of joining civil services was to see an opportunity and try to improve, make a difference there. So what happened was that all those candidates who had been calling me, all the people who had called me and said, "Do you know what happened to you?" were actually other people who had also been similarly affected.
Right.
And they couldn't even find out what was happening.
Right.
Which is why they were asking me, do I know what happened, so that they can know what happened to them. And I found out that all of these people were also being rejected on the same kind of parameters, on the same grounds. So I decided to fight the lawsuit, because the way I see it, disability in India is also a parameter of poverty.
Yeah.
So these most of these people already came from poor and slightly not really poor but economically weaker backgrounds, and this was another thing that was happening to them. And I thought maybe this is what I'm supposed to change. This is where I'm supposed to make a difference. So maybe this is where life has brought you here. So that's why I decided to file the lawsuit, so that maybe it can change things for all of those people also.
And you won that.
Yes. And the strange thing was, the same thing happened to me in my second attempt, which I was preparing for. And then I took a break and I gave a third attempt, and even there the same thing had happened.
So 3 times you
Yes.
cleared this examination,
Yes.
which is touted to be so difficult to
Yeah.
crack, and yet you weren't given a service to
Yes.
join.
Yes. And so I filed a lawsuit, and after my third attempt is when the judgment came in my favor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they gave you a joining?
Not immediately. So I
Okay.
had to still wait for the joining, and that is why I ended up giving my fourth attempt and landing up in the IAS. I was waiting, the judgment came, the court
Yeah.
case judgment came, and I was waiting for, something to happen with that. But nothing happened. I didn't get a phone call, I didn't get any letters, I didn't get anything. And at that point, I was worried that maybe government is thinking of filing a, further suit in the higher court,
Right.
appeal that judgment.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up giving the fourth attempt, because I didn't know what the government was thinking.
Yeah.
I didn't get a joining letter. I didn't get or even an appeal for the court case things. So yeah, that's.
But maybe, as they say, whatever happens, happens for the best, because then you ended up topping
Yeah.
that examination
Yeah.
and becoming the first ever to be the one of the disabled persons to have topped
Yes.
the exam. How has life been after that, in short?
It's been interesting, to say the least. The one thing I must say about our job is that it gives you immense opportunity
Yeah.
if you know how to recognize it, and to and especially opportunity to really work for the society, really work for the world around you and for people around you. So that's been extremely satisfying, and I must say that anybody who really wants to make a difference, this is the best platform that life can give you.
Tell me what the attitude of society has been like in all your life, even though you went to a school, you topped an exam, but how has your disability been perceived by society?
See, the unfortunate reality of India is that if you're a person with disability, every single person that you meet, you need to reconvince them again to see you more than your disability. Every single person, every single time, you have to convince them that you deserve an opportunity. It's not even that you're good or bad or anything. It's just that people are unwilling to give you a chance.
Yeah.
And that's basically what my whole, court case was about, and all that I've been standing up for is that at least give people a chance. Don't take away their chance because of your prejudices or because of assumptions you have made about what they can do and what they can't do, basis how they look.
Yeah.
And we judge. I mean, a girl is dark in India, and you've got this whole industry trying to make her fair.
Yeah.
And why do you need that? Is because the society says being dark is bad. Like any kind of flaw in a girl is so bad.
Yeah.
So the biggest struggle has always been that every new person that you meet, you need to reconvince them about your potential.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and in a way that hasn't changed, because if I still meet people who don't know what I have already achieved, it's a battle again.
It's the same.
It's the same again. So I remember, and the world is not very comfortable with women in positions of authority.
Right.
You know, so that, and if you're a girl who's that tiny and who's that weird looking, the world is so uncomfortable with you. So that's something that constantly keeps happening. But then, if you're someone who ever wants to do something in the world, you learn to ignore that. You learn to work with it. You learn that you cannot let that perception of the world become a part of your performance.
Right. Right.
You know?
And I think this kind of rejection bias, prejudice, whatever you call it, starts from a really early age.
Yes, absolutely. So, right from my first school admission ever, right from then, my parents had to struggle and fight with every school to just give me a chance. You know, in all of those schools, I've almost been the best performer in my class. But before letting me in that class, my parents had to jump through so many hurdles, talk to so many people. Like literally, my dad has sat outside schools for days on end just asking them to give me a chance, even with the written tests. And you know, back then used to have written tests and all. I would have performed the best. But the school
And
would...
you didn't even have a learning disability
No,
of any kind.
I had nothing which affected my performance as a student. But because I didn't look perfect, the school wasn't giving me a chance. And I have to say that still hasn't changed, because I still get messages from a lot of mothers and fathers saying that schools are rejecting their kids. I mean, there are schools that are actively working on it, and I'm so grateful to them. But that's not really percolated down the
and
line.
that sort of starts the discrimination at such an early age,
Yes.
right? Like if you
Yes.
don't get to go to a school that you wish to go to, or a good school, that already sets you back
you
for
know,
no reason. Yeah.
I'll give you another big thing. If you don't have all kinds of kids studying in the same classroom, you will never have an inclusive society. It starts from school. See, you normalize something when you make that a part of a person's primary education. For example, I'll give you this. We're sitting in this room. An elephant walks in right now. Won't both of us look?
Yeah.
We'll turn and look as to what happened. This is such a strange thing. But if the elephant went to school with us right from childhood every day, would we look?
No. Yeah.
It's simply that, right? So if you have a child with a disability as part of the regular classroom, for that child also, the normalization has begun. That child now knows how to function in a world where other people do not have the same disability as them. And I say that because everybody has some disability. It may be something that is affecting your everyday life, or it may not. But almost everybody has some disability, because disability is a comparison.
Right.
It's a comparison. It's not an ideal, right? Because none of us can run as fast as a cheetah, so we are disabled compared to a cheetah.
Yeah.
We can't tear off a deer with our teeth. Aren't we disabled compared to them? Right? So it's a comparative thing, right? So if it doesn't affect your regular life in the comparison, we call you a person without disability in that sense. But everybody has a disability in the world.
And in school is when it really needs to start.
So if you have a child with a disability, and if you have a child who's a transgender, and if you have a child, with all kinds of other these things, you make those people a part of everyday living, everyday society, and then you've acclimatized everybody in the world.
Yeah.
And you've given everybody an opportunity to perform to their ability level and not about their disability level.
Yeah, at least you need to know what they can achieve.
Yes.
And if right from school admissions, if
Yes.
you're told that, oh, you're not going to be good enough for us, I think that seeps in, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's the negativity.
It starts that chain of rejection.
Yeah.
That then puts you on a path of underperforming.
Yeah.
Because, if the world gives me a chance, I would want to show that I deserve that chance.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly being told you don't deserve a chance, you cannot be given that chance, that mindset will seep in, and then you will start underperforming as to what you really can do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think it sets you back for a long life of struggle, but also probably gives you the strength if you, power through
Yes.
whatever life throws at you.
Yes. So I think those unnecessary challenges don't need to be a part of every child's upbringing.
Especially children.
Yes, right. But a child with disability, I think most of them learn to battle those prejudices and to battle those things if they are ever going to achieve anything.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a huge role is played by family in that process, because at least somewhere, at least home, because outside home maybe you're not being accepted.
Yes.
But your home has to be that safe space where you're
Yes.
celebrated,
Yes.
where you're told that you're worthy of big things.
Yeah. So, and I wouldn't even say celebrated in that sense, because there shouldn't be that extra emphasis.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, what I believe is that in the family environment, you should be given a positive upbringing, and you should be given that confidence to believe in yourself and a recognition of your abilities over your disabilities. And that's where I think a lot of parents fail. Unfortunately, because what they do is they talk about the child's disability so much, they forget to talk about his abilities.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're
What
absolutely
would your
right.
message be to such parents?
I would say that if you don't believe in your child, the world will not.
Right.
The world picks up your child's abilities or disabilities from you. So, if you're saying my child, oh my God, my poor child, the world will also see your child as a poor child. So, the parent is the first person who has to believe that my child is capable of doing something, my child has potential, and you need to give that to your child. You need to make your child see that, because most of the world that we see is defined by how our parents made it for us,
Yeah.
right? So, if as parents you can make your child believe that there is more to you than your disability, that's when the child grows up believing it, and that's what the rest of the world will see.
Yeah, yeah. For you, in your professional life, now you've been working for many years, what has it been like? Like the journey, traveling to different parts of India, where your job's taken you, and where are you right now? If you can tell me a little bit about that.
I'm currently posted in Arunachal Pradesh in Itanagar as Special Secretary Education.
Right. And how are you making a difference in education, considering, you've seen the worst of what can be, like you described?
So, education is a passion sector of mine, and I've actually been very lucky. I have a boss who's very supportive and is always welcoming of new ideas and new initiatives. So, we've made quite a few changes, right from how teaching is done within the classroom to what is done outside the classroom. So, I've introduced mental health workshops for kids. We've introduced life skill as part of the regular curriculum, which means things from first aid, how do you active
Respond, yeah.
yes, active that to communication skills to basics of cooking, how to waste segregation, small things like waste segregation and greening the environment, taking care of plants, to essay writing, message writing, letter writing, just everyday things that how do you behave with elders, gender sensitization, transgender sensitization, and gender sensitization to people with disabilities. Even sign language is a basic workshop. So, besides that, to self-awareness, empathy, anger management, stress management, all of those kind of things. So, we've introduced those things for all our kids across the board. I've introduced career counseling. So, we've got an active portal where we've partnered with UNICEF, and we've got around 500 jobs, and we tell kids about what that job is, what kind of salaries you look at, how do you get into that, so what courses you need at school level, where do you apply, what scholarships are available to you, what is the course fee like, what is the lifestyle like, all of that information. So, that's a big module that we've started. Besides that, we've started online, we've got online class recordings and all sorts of things. So, it's quite an exciting thing.
Tell me something, because you're so closely working with the education sector. What do you think is missing, or what do you think is not so great about our education sector right now?
I think one of the things is that we are running too much about earning money rather than becoming good human beings. So, I'll give you an example. If you meet someone who can't write a sentence properly, you're not going to say anything. You're just going to be like, it's okay. If someone doesn't spell something perfectly, you're like, it's fine. But if you meet someone who's spitting on the road, or who's abusing or who's, throwing garbage here or there, what do you say? You say unpad hai.
हाँ,
The first thing you'll say is that he's uneducated.
ये तो अनपढ़ है.
Right? That is what you say. So what does that mean? It means that education was supposed to give you the skills to function as a good human being in the society. Education wasn't meant to make you just know how to do maths or to read or write. It was meant to make you a good human being. And that's one thing that we've lost from our education system, and that's something that I've been attempting to bring back, to make you a good human being who functions well in the society, who fits in well in the society. And that's where I think most of our education, the focus on education needs to come back. So it's about making you a better person, making you someone who fits in the world, who's keeps the world moving towards progress. It's not somebody who's selfish and who earns a lot of money and then wastes and spends that, and that's a problem with India today, because how do you prove you're rich is by wasting. And how do you prove that you are poor? By again polluting, because you burn garbage and so it's both the sides. The rich and the poor in India both pollute. And that's the problem that we are having. So
and from a very early age, I think there's a push to of marks and never-ending examinations.
Yes.
And
so that competitiveness, it's important. See, it's important to push the child to perform above what their actual level is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But that shouldn't come at the cost of them becoming a better person.
Yeah.
And in Hinduism and generally in Indian philosophy, whatever religion it is, in fact, all the Abrahamical religions also, they focus on you being good human beings. Everyone talks about being a good human being. But we aren't doing that as a society. And our education system is solely based on marks. Today, the child feels free to abuse the teacher or to find faults with the teacher or to say, whatever things about the teacher. How is that correct?
Yeah.
How is that correct? How is that a good thing? How will you ever learn from a person you cannot respect properly?
Yeah. And so, also joining these never-ending coaching classes from class 2 or 3.
Yeah, what is that
madness.
about? Yeah. Why do you not like your child enough to let them grow up at their own pace?
Yeah.
That extra competitiveness is not going to take us anywhere. And that's why we have so many people having heart disease and having all of these lifestyle-related problems, simply because we have spoiled our lifestyle.
Yeah. Also, we've only told people that your idea of success, at least in the corporate, in your careers, is linked to how much you're earning, what position in society you hold, and not measured by much else, which I think has that spiral effect later on in life.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what your plans are. What are you excited about in the next, few years?
So the good thing about my job is that you don't really need to plan.
Yeah.
Life does that for you, So, and I love that wherever we are posted, we get to actually have an opportunity to make a difference. So, I'm not somebody who now plans like that. I look for an opportunity and I try to make the best of it. So, I don't actually have any clear-cut plans of this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But definitely whatever life comes up with, I would love to take that up. So,
tell me, last a couple of things is what would you tell a person, a child or anybody who's watching this video, and what would you tell them if they have a disability? And the second thing is, I would want to ask, what do you want to tell anybody who's watching this video about how to really be different as individuals?
So one is that for people with disabilities, whether it's children or adults, somewhere the world will see you the way you see yourself. So if you see yourself as weak or a person with a disability, that's what the world is seeing. If you see yourself as a person with an ability, that's what the world will see. So it all starts from how you want to perceive yourself and how you want to project yourself out in the world. And my one thing is, everybody has a disability. You may see it, you may not see it. A child who's who loses their parents, that's also a disability in a way, right?
Yeah.
Being born in a poor family, that's also a disability in a way.
So many emotional growth and everything.
So, having abusive parents, having neglecting parents, all of that is also a disability. So, the world is full of disabilities. You may see something as disability or you may not. That is a choice that you make.
Yeah.
So, if just because you have something that affects you in some way, there is something that you can also do which is better than others. So, recognize that about yourself. like I said, the world will see what you want them to see.
Yeah.
So I personally just want to say that start believing in yourself, because only then will others believe in you.
Yeah.
And your second point was to
But generally, people at large, how do you become better individuals in
yes,
terms
how
of
do we
being accepting, you know?
yes. So we must recognize that all of us are different,
Yeah.
and the world would be horrible if we were all the same.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a boring
What a
world.
boring world. Yeah.
Right? If we all looked the same, if we all behaved the same, if we were all
Clones,
the
yeah.
same person, it would be terrible. And I mean, I can't imagine living with myself. So we should celebrate our differences and not make that a problem.
Yeah.
And just the one thing you need to focus on is that you're a kind person, you're an accepting person, and you're a person who makes the world better for others. I'm not saying convenient, I'm saying better.
Yeah.
Because, as women, we're constantly made to feel everybody else's life
We are the
is
ones
more
who need
important,
to-
and, you need to make everybody else feel more convenient.
Yeah.
But that's not what you need to do. You just need to make the world a better place by you being there. And even if you're not, at least don't make it worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's the only thing.
And as a woman, because you've mentioned it before, how has, I mean, you've cracked one of the best, jobs that's said to be, right? It's one of the most aspired for roles. Yet you said that as a woman, there are never-ending challenges, which is gendered. Tell me a little about that.
Like I said, that the world doesn't really want to see women in positions of authority still. Whatever we say, there was a need for the women's reservation bill,
Yeah.
right? Because there are so few women. I mean, it's 33%. So imagine that we don't even have that many women
Yeah.
in the world working around us.
We
And
have something around 15% in the Lok Sabha right now, which is dismal.
Yes, right? And not just that, it also percolates to your corporate sector, it percolates to your government.
Right.
Everywhere you have lesser women. Probably the only sector I think where they might be at a parity would be teaching.
Teaching, yeah. But that's also so linked to your
Yes, it is. I'm glad
Homes.
you recognize that,
Yeah.
because, and I'll take a detour here and mention the reason everybody wants is allowed to become a teacher is because when you're a teacher, you go with the child, you come back with the child, you make the morning breakfast, you come back and make the lunch. In the evening, when the husband comes back, you will give him tea, you will have dinner ready. And in the morning, again, you will follow that cycle. When the child is on leave, you are on leave to take care of that child, and you earn a little pocket money.
Yeah.
So, your family life, your husband who is the priority is not disturbed. Your kids who are a bigger priority are not disturbed, and you kind of, your job makes it more convenient for all of them, and hence you're allowed to have that job.
Yeah.
Women are allowed to work as teachers by their parents and by the society, simply because it's much more convenient to do that job as compared to anything else. Because
Absolutely.
right, all your main priorities, which is your family, your cooking, and your
Homes.
kids and home
Yeah.
and husband, all of that
taken care of.
taken care of and well taken care of.
Taken care of, and that then you do your job like on this.
Then
it's
you
like a
have
side
some money
thing.
also,
Yeah,
no?
yeah,
So that if there is a need, you can help out in the family.
yeah.
Right? Because remember that women, whenever they earn, the money is still not controlled by them.
Yeah.
We're not still financially independent, because all the money decisions, the investing decisions, the shopping decisions, the larger shopping decisions are taken care of by the male in the family.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, women are still not accepted in the society as in the positions of power, because that, that ability of, that confidence in their ability to take decisions hasn't really come from the world.
Yeah.
The world is still not ready to see that women can make the right decisions or the correct, better decisions. And that's where the whole problem lies. That we're still not ready to accept decision making of women.
Yeah.
And it starts right from your childhood, And as women also, we let go of that control.
Yeah.
In the household, we say, "Acha, Papa se pooch lo."
Yeah.
Whatever Papa says will happen.
और भैया से पूछ लो.
Yeah. So when the father is not there, unfortunately, then the eldest son will take the
Something.
decisions, right?
Yeah, especially about money.
Not even money, it's all the decisions.
Big decisions. Yeah.
Are you allowed to go out at night? Are you allowed to go in some other city and study? Are you allowed to go and work somewhere? All of those decisions are still taken care of by the male in the family. So if it's happening in your family, you are not ready to see that out in the world as well. and that's the problem. So as women officers, thankfully I am not an early entrant into that. There have been enough women before us who have fought and who have made their mark. So it's a little easier for our generation.
Definitely.
In fact, much easier. But that doesn't mean that those biases don't exist.
And the thing for you has been multi-leveled because A, you're a woman, and B, you're a person with disability. So how has it, I mean, what are the kinds of comments you heard? How has it been for you, even though you're at a very high decision-making role?
Honestly, I don't know if there are any comments because I don't listen to them. If I was listening to comments of people, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
Because the comments of the world start right at birth.
Yeah.
So I have never been somebody who acknowledged or listened to what people are saying. They don't matter to me. You don't live my life. You don't know what I'm capable of. You've not, you don't have the same mindset as me. You've not had the same experiences as me. So you don't get to affect how I'm thinking or how I'm living.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't give you that chance. Sorry.
Yeah. And yet you would agree that there is the sort of discrimination on these two grounds, even in a place like IS, which is like, so sought after.
Not really from the community itself, the civil services community. I mean, the entry level one is definitely there. But once you're inside, within the officers, there isn't really much of a difference like that. No, I don't see that. And I'm actually treated very well. And I mean, there are obviously one or two stray people who will, but then my experiences are not the same as everybody else's. I had a rank which sort of solidified my capability.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same experience that other people have. And definitely before getting this rank, that was there.
Yeah.
That
so
was
your
there.
rank really showed everyone
Yes.
that they can't question you after
yes,
that.
Yes. So in my particular case, today that doesn't happen. But definitely I do think that is a factor because that did happen prior to being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you'd like to add to this conversation?
No, I'm good. I think we've covered everything. And just my one last thing to everybody else out there in the world, if you feel discriminated against and if you feel that the world isn't fair to you, you can't go change the world. You can only change yourself.
Yeah.
So change your own actions, change the way you respond to the world. First of all, stop thinking about what the world thinks of you. And that's the only way you will progress. So don't worry so much about what everybody else is saying about you or thinking about you. They don't know you. They don't live the life that you have lived. They don't have the same talents as you. They don't have the same mindset as you. So really, why are you letting them define your future? So stop letting the world into your head, into your life and into your future.
No, that's absolutely true, and I think change begins small and it begins within.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy and glad that you joined us
My
for this
pleasure.
series.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Thank you so much. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share and comment on HerZindagi.com's videos. We're also running this campaign with articles and videos on the website HerZindagi.com. Don't forget to check it out.